Has anyone seen any intermittent issues with doing Joomla updates? I'm currently on 4.2 point something, and I do updates using a downloaded zip file, and I always do an SHA hash on it just to make sure. But just sometimes when you're doing the actual update, it comes back and says there's a problem with the download file, and you just run it again and everything's fine. It just happens every now and then. I can't make any sense out of it. I haven't seen it before.
Is the message coming from the browser or coming from Joomla?
Coming from Joomla.
Okay.
So it does the download of the zip file for the update, which these days is about 24 megabytes. And then it goes to the next stage where you need to sign in as your administrator account. And then you say install, and that's when it pops up. But it's only intermittent and doesn't really disturb me. It just seems a bit odd.
A lot of other things happen.
Anyway, on a totally unrelated topic, the number of successful cyber attacks on databases seems to be pretty regular. Anyone got any insights into why this is apparently so easy to do? Is it all just internal security issues? Is there, anyone got any insights into any of that?
Are you talking about like Medicare and?
Yeah, there's one.
Media or
There's
Joomla?
one. No, nothing to do with Joomla. There just seems to be a new one every week. Latest one's Latitude. And there was some medical research place just the other day, and before that, Optus, Medicare, da-da-da. It just seems to give the impression that the hacker can just almost go in anywhere and just grab data, but that can't be true. So what's going on? Is it just bad security? Is it?
I think it is. I mean, as percentages of all the businesses in the world, it's still a pretty small one.
Well, we probably only hear about the Australian ones.
Sure, but yeah, I mean, I think it's got to be security, or else everything would be going down. But I mean, it's like I've got a meeting with a client tomorrow who wants to talk about security in the light of all these recent things. About whether their data is secure, etc. And in this case, it's going to be yes, Stuart has tech issues, of course they do. Yeah, so like in their case, they run a subscription magazine style website. They have about 4,000 or 5,000 subscribers. Stores personal information, I guess, in the context of address details, probably date of birth. I don't think it does actually, but maybe address details, but no credit card details are stored on the site, and obviously recurring transactions handled through Stripe or eWay. So there's not much further we can do on that level. They're currently using free SSL, so I'm going to say to them we can update to higher level certificate where you get a greater guarantee if something goes wrong. But short of that, they're already protected with admin tools. They're on a VPS that has hardened firewall through Venture IP. Not sure what else I can tell them. So if you've got any suggestions for me, I'm welcome to hear them. I mean, my next thing was to say to them, well, your only real option is to go to, MFA, multi-factor authentication, which for a subscriber-based magazine website, I can only imagine is going to be an impediment to subscriptions. Yeah. But in terms of, the actual security, that's about all we can do. It's, already running capture and all that jazz. And so, yeah, there are limits.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Where is that noise coming from?
Not me.
Thought it sounded like Stuart.
That's the muffled sound of Stuart trying to sort out his audio.
Yeah, I've got some technical issues. That's what happens when you move office quickly.
Yes, there is that. Yeah, no, fair enough.
So I think from what I've seen about issues that have been discussed, most of them are human issues, they're not technology issues. So I think one of the ones, not certain whether it was Optus or Medibank, was the fact that they had a developer database where they hadn't obscured the data, and they had that database fairly accessible so that anyone could access it. And so the hackers got hold of that database, and they could get hold of the whole pile of customer data. So it's just, the fact that they hadn't obscured their test data, which they shipped around to all their contractors and things like that.
It does seem to be like a lot more focus in the media at the moment. So that's why you hear about the big ones. But this stuff is quite regularly it's happening. We just haven't really heard about it because it's not popular in the media. But I agree with Peter in that a lot of it's actually people related, not so much that technically it's badly put together, but some of the sophistication in the way that they're actually phishing or social engineering access, like they don't target like the company here, like Medicare that got hacked. They actually target the smaller companies. So something like Latitude, they probably didn't hack Latitude. They probably got into one of Latitude's clients or advisors' sites or whatever, and got through that way, just simply by social engineering. So it's not really other than things like MFA and having smarter people with access. There's really not a lot you can do about it. A lot of these things.
It's a concern. It's a concern that so many organisations seem to be keeping records of customers who've long left them. For example, I got a letter from a medical insurer that I hadn't been with for 15 years, who were a subsidiary of, or still are a subsidiary of Medibank, saying my details have been compromised. So, that's pretty bad sort of privacy protection to retain customer data for that long when they're not customers anymore.
That's probably a different issue to actually whether they get.
It is a different issue, but it seems to be so common that, obviously it's done for some sort of, I don't know, either ignorance or marketing purposes or for whatever, but there should be some sort of standards about these things, that data retention should have a time limit on it when there's no substantial reason for retaining it.
I think you'll find the government bringing in legislation or trying to
Indeed.
rules around that.
Yeah, there's work in progress, I believe, to bring in GDPR style regulations.
Yeah.
There is that. I think you have to keep your financial records for 7 years or something. So there is this sort of need to keep data there.
Yeah, I think tax-wise it's something like 7 years, but what Greg said, 15 years is probably a bit old.
Beyond the pale, perhaps.
Yeah.
So, I think it's just that the Eastern Europeans got massive factories of the North Koreans, and they're hacking everything. If there's a weakness, they'll find it.
Yeah. It was a couple of days ago, I was reading a 3 new threats that they found. One of them, well, one of the 3 I can remember, is know how you get an email and just like it looks a bit suspect, so you roll your mouse over the link and look and make some link back to Russia or wherever. Well, they now have this technique where they'll create the email, put the link in it, use Google Translate to translate it to English, which then translate the link to a valid link that they still are able to intercept. So you do that trick, you hover over it, oh, that's the valid link, click on it, and you actually still end up on the lookalike site. So that's kind of gets a little bit scary, I think.
Scary.
Well, that wore that one out.
Yeah. I don't think technology is the answer. I think it's
No, I think we just, as I get older, I think I can't change the world anymore. I just make sure I do the right things.
Yeah.
You do despair at being in the business and doing the right thing. You do despair that these things happen. But I guess no one wants to let data go. Being told it's power.
I must admit that's a bit of an issue for me. My crew has nominated me to be in charge of a website, and I've got this bubbling thing in the back of my head that I feel an obligation to look after the information that we've collected securely, but I don't have enough understanding to be able to say to them, look, these people have lost the data because of blah 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 blah, whereas your data is secure because of blah 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 blah. So I feel I need to fill in some gaps, and Patrick's held my hand through some of that, and I've probably forgot it. So, I could use a bit of a bit of explanation, and maybe I need to lift my game in my understanding.
I think a lot of the problem too is a lot of these, I mean, in terms of Cass, your situation, I'm not sure I'd be trying to explain what they did wrong. I think that's probably outside your remit, really, and or what you're really required to do, other than to perhaps, as Peter suggested, maybe blame it on human error somewhat, or at least failure of systems put in place by humans, I think. But I think it's just, a lot of the issues with those sites is they're storing data that we're not. I mean, I don't know how many of you are capturing driver's license numbers or photos. I wouldn't have thought too many, if any. I certainly don't have any site where I capture license numbers or the like. And when you sign up for health insurance, you have, it's like signing up for a bank account, you've got to provide your 100 points of data. We're not kind of requiring any of that when people sign up to our websites, and by and large. So I think that's a large part of why they're a lot safer, is because the data that's there is not that valuable, frankly. I mean, a lot of that if a lot of that information is just publicly available. Unless people have got silent numbers or whatnot, then their phone numbers are available, just like they would be, through scraping it from your website. So, I think it's the issue is about the quality of the data that's being protected or that might be at risk. If you've got data that can result in identity fraud or something that's going to allow people to do that, then I think you've really got to have all your shit in place to make sure that's not going to happen. But I wouldn't think that many of us are running sites that have that level of data about someone. Yeah.
I was booking into an accommodation place about a year ago, and they demanded to see not just my credit card, but also my driver's license, which they wanted to photocopy. And I said, well, you can look at it to see that it's me, but I don't let you copy my license. And they said, well, it's our policy. And I said, well, not copying my license is my policy. So it went back and forth, and they called the manager out, and he said, it's our policy. And I said, well, this is my policy. And my policy won in the end. But it's just so often that they do this. They just demand a driver's license, and people just hand it over without thinking and have no idea where it's going to go. And it's a primary identifier. And it's got date of birth and everything on it. And but you know, we need to fight back a bit.
You do. It's the same, the banks used to ring up and ask you for your date of birth as well. And the NAB and used to ring me and say, oh, this is the NAB. Can I have your date of birth? I need to talk to you. So I used to say no. I can't. They don't ring me anymore though. My account must have dwindled.
Well, maybe it wasn't the NAB at all.
Well, it was, because I tested them a few times and argued with them, and it was, but it seemed to me like a stupid security question to ask you for a date of birth.
Yeah.
But he's telling you don't give out your information.
Yeah.
But I think maybe we wore them down. So, and just as an sideline, Kaz, is that a Gretsch or a Gibson in the background?
Gretsch.
I thought so.
I'm keen on single coils, so I've got high-lotrons in that one.
Nice.
And yeah, and I don't feel attracted to PAFs and things like that.
The next meeting, I'll move to my music room as well.
Sounds good.
When it loads down, we can play a tune.
There's actually a photo of a Gretsch Falcon on the wall behind me. Probably hard to
I
see.
think I did spot that a while ago.
Well, I do
What?
play one.
Oh yeah, who is that?
It's Billy Duffy from an English band called The Cult, who has famously played either a white or black Gretsch Falcon for most of his career.
The white Gretsch Falcon.
Nice guitars.
Well, that's quite amazing. There's 3 Gretches in one meeting. Sorry about that. I just got my curiosity.
All right, we seem to be dwindling on questions.
Yeah. I can move off and have dinner. Sorry to be vague on my event thing. I'll try and find out more about that again. So, is there anyone else in Brisbane? That's a no.
Yeah,
No, I'm in Brisbane.
Stuart's Monger in Brisbane. I think you're mostly in Brisbane, aren't you?
Is that Greg?
We're all in Brisbane, all 3 of
Oh,
us.
really? Okay.
Yeah, Greg's in Brisbane.
Yeah, there's 4 of us here.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I didn't see your pictures, guys. I thought you'd left.
Oh, we had a bit of technical difficulty. So
Oh, well, welcome back.
twice we had technical difficulty.
Mm.
So we'll get that sorted out before next time. But yeah.
So where have you moved offices?
Yeah, so I moved last weekend.
So close by, or you?
Yeah, so I moved probably about 1 kilometre
Wow.
from where I was. So I'm now at the south end, or actually the city end of Boundary Street. So
Still a long way from Lockyer Valley.
Yes.
technically South Brisbane, but still on the same postcode as before. And I think almost as exact same distance to the archive where we're going next, which was, I had a piece of string and said, I can only walk that far for beer.
I got one quick question before we go. Has anyone had a go at having a website with WordPress and Joomla on at the same time?
Yeah, I've got one.
How does that go? How does that work for you?
Well, it's been working fine for a couple of years, but it's about to go pear-shaped in the next 6 to 9 months, I think. Say in Australia, or say in a mental health charity I look after, they use Salesforce for their fundraising and CRM and etc. And so they wanted to engage this Salesforce mob to build a fancy ass donation form that handled single, multiple donation or regular donations, 4 or 5 different payment systems, and it all had to integrate with Salesforce and activate it and do all this kind of stuff. And at the time, I didn't have the resources, and looked at the Salesforce docs and went, "You kind of need to do this for a full-time living." So anyway, they went off to these Salesforce consultants, and we came back and, of course, used WordPress. But Sane had a very large Joomla website already. So there used to be a component for Joomla 3 called WordPress for Joomla, which I'm still running on the site. So it basically runs WordPress as a component inside Joomla. So under the components menu, there is a WordPress option.
Oh, babushka doll. Cool.
Yeah, and then when you're in WordPress under the sort of log out menu, it's also got a back to Joomla option, I guess. But yeah, the component has since been discarded by the developers who don't really seem to do Joomla stuff anymore. They're based in Europe somewhere, but yeah, so it's probably not going to survive the upgrade to Joomla 4, PHP 8, etc. It's on my list of problems to throw at you, actually, Terry, just to give you a heads up.
I'm getting a series of requests where they want like pretty front ends, and they all know someone who can do WordPress, but then they want some more technical stuff that I'd like to do in Joomla.
Is it they want something pretty, or they just want a page builder?
Yeah, it's like they know somebody who can run WordPress is the issue, not and I'd rather they did that side of things and let me do the database.
Well, your only choice is to really run it in a subfolder, I guess, if you want to do the technical stuff in Joomla and then skin it to look the same, I guess.
Nathan, can you let us know whenever you have a Joomla site with a WordPress site inside of it, and you have a Drupal site inside of the WordPress site? Like a turducken?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, that's probably not going to happen, Rick. I think I've learnt my lesson as it is. I've decided my solution at this stage is most likely to just run the form in an iframe, given it's on the same domain. I'll figure that might work.
Sweet.
In the short term. Or I get Terry to update the component and make it run in Joomla 4. So
there you go. Yeah, interesting.
They did release it to GitHub, but I don't think anyone's touched it. So. It's actually all right. It has a couple of if you were doing it properly, it has like a couple of widgets in WordPress that will display latest articles and stuff from Joomla, and vice versa. There's a couple of Joomla modules that let you display shit from WordPress. So.
Yeah. Just, I'm wearing down, I guess, and I haven't got the enthusiasm for doing the pretty front ends anymore. But anyway,
the sites you're talking about there, Tony, are they already Joomla, and these people just want to make pretty front ends, so they think you got to go to WordPress, or are they already WordPress?
Well, the thing is, what they say, what this is what I'd like to do, and my mate's got a WordPress one, and so forth, and I keep thinking, well, go and get your mate to do it, but I'd like to keep that part of it. But it's something I'm considering is splitting some of my projects in two, which has got a front end and a back end, so to speak, and let me focus on that. And another thing that's come out, one of the things that's reared its head that they want me to do, and I don't know if anyone's done it, is I don't know if you've Googled like there's an obvious one for computer repairs, for instance, and you Google computer repairs Lockyer Valley, and these come. Oh, shut up, Google.
Gotta love the AI.
Okay, Google, quiet. And the website comes up no matter what. The website comes up no matter what suburb you Google. So they got the, like in a search engine with lists of suburbs or states, but it's always the same page, but they must have a front end. Have you come across that?
I've seen it happen, but I would say that they've probably got some sort of plug-in that see where the actual location of the person's logging in from.
Yeah.
Get that out of the headers or whatever.
Well, it takes it from the URL. So if you type in computer repairs Gatton, it comes up with a block. I can see how it's done. I mean, I've designed a database so you break regions down with town, states to regions to suburbs to towns, but I don't know how you get into Google to bring it up in the search. It's very clever.
Well, the old school way was to do it with your meta keywords, but now I don't think Google's respecting those as much anymore. I think that's
No.
the window.
Pretty much ignore them. It's just
Everybody was abusing that. So putting entire geographical dictionaries up there and hoping that it's stuck. But yeah, I think
the spider's smart enough to read the content of the page and analyze it, so it just ignores keywords altogether.
yeah.
Descriptions, it will still pop up as a result, but it doesn't use them for search indexing either.
Yeah, well, they asked me to do it, and I thought, well, that's exciting. And then I thought about it, and the principle you can do, but I'm shying away from it. And that's one of the WordPress guys says, "Oh, yeah, our site does that." So I sort of said, well, perhaps they can do your front end for you.
Sounds like black hat SEO to me, frankly.
Yeah.
Well, imagine how you would want it to work if you were Google yourself. If you were Google, you go, right, how do I get more money out of people? Oh, I know, I'll make them pay me more money to get the geolocation worked out right.
Exactly.
Maybe they're just spending more to get that higher level of sophistication.
And not admitting it. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't dabble in SEO.
You can target it through AdWords and stuff, where you can certainly, put up results based on geolocation and stuff. So they could be doing that too.
Well, that's another area I'm not keen on is SEO. I sort of.
No, it's a mug's game.
It is.
Full of shysters and crooks.
And Patrick.
Patrick.
All right. Well, nice to catch up with so many of you tonight. And
So just before you dash off, any thoughts on a particular day that we can't meet? Obviously, Patrick gave us the option of him not attending or us moving the date, and I think we will move the date.
We'll move the date.
Does the second Tuesday cause anybody any trouble?
Tuesdays are normally good.
We used to have the Drupal meeting was second Tuesday, and we were the week following third Tuesday. But the Drupal lads, it's basically disintegrated. They tried to have a combined WordPress and Drupal meet up and got 6 people.
Ouch. Well, we're still batting above our weight then.
Yeah, so I don't have a problem if we stole that Tuesday. It was so that's probably our best option.
That works for me.
Yeah, Tuesdays are good. Pizza's cheap on Tuesdays.
Yeah, so if we make it second Tuesday, so that means we've got a short turnaround between now and the next meeting, but that's okay.
Yeah, someone's gonna have to think of something to talk about.
I might have something.
Okay, that's all.
That's enough.
Yeah.
No,
All
I've got to install a accessibility plugin for Joomla, made by DJ Extensions. I'm doing it on a couple of sites in the next week or so. That does, text to speech and has all sorts of other fancy accessibility stuff like, increasing font size, changing the contrast of the page and all that kind of jazz. So I can probably do a walkthrough on that.
Yeah.
Good.
Right.
Cool. Thanks, Nathan.
No worries.
All right, everybody, thank you for meeting and seeing, what's that, fortnight time?
Well, it'll be coming up quick.
Glad I volunteered.
Yeah, it's either that or we skip one, but I don't think that's a good idea. Well, we've got such good momentum.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah, all good.
All good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Cool.
Bye.